Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today, we're focusing our analysis on one of the really big names in memory and semiconductors, Micron technology. And the question we're exploring for you is Micron technology a good time to buy right now? Before we get into the details, just a quick reminder, please remember to subscribe, like, and comment below. Also, definitely let us know if there's a specific company you want us to look into. Just leave a comment. We really like tailoring this info for you.
Yeah, and we've looked through a lot of material on Micron technology. We're talking fundamentals, the technicals, what catalysts might be coming up through, say, October 2025. And honestly, the picture looks compelling. It's overwhelmingly bullish, actually. What we're really seeing, I think, is this kind of inflection point. You've got the usual memory cycle recovery, which is great, but it's happening right alongside this massive structural shift in demand for high-performance computing.
Okay, let's unpack that fundamental story first because, wow, some of these numbers are genuinely jaw-dropping. Micron technology has posted figures showing a huge recovery. So looking at the top line for fiscal year 2025, revenue hit, what, $37.38 billion? That's a pretty big jump, 48.85% year over year. That seems like really rapid growth, but is that mostly just sort of volume recovery?
And exactly, that 48.85% revenue increase is fantastic on its own.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting, where you see the leverage kick in and where the story shifts maybe from just cyclical recovery to something more like strategic dominance. The net income surged to $8.54 billion in fiscal 25. Now, that represents a 997.56% jump year over year.
Whoa, hold on. Nearly 1,000% growth in profits. That's incredible. But, okay, for the listener seeing that number, how does that even happen without revenue also growing 1,000%? What's that telling us about the health of the business itself?
Right, that huge gap where profits grow way faster than sales. That's the definition of operational leverage in action. And it's specifically driven by the memory pricing cycle this time around. Think about it like this. Building a chip factory, a fab, costs an absolute fortune, huge fixed cost. For a long time during the downturn, they were spreading that cost over lower sales volumes, which, well, it just crushed their margins. Now, though, as the memory market tightens up and pricing for DRAM and NAND chips stabilizes or even starts spiking, well, every new gigabyte of memory they sell carries immense profit because that huge upfront cost is already baked in, already absorbed.
Okay, so they basically cross this profitability line, and now because of pricing power, the floodgates are just open.
Yeah, precisely. They've flipped from just absorbing losses to really maximizing profit capture on every sale. And this exceptional conversion of revenue growth into net income, it hasn't gone unnoticed on Wall Street, believe me. Analyst guidance shows a consensus rating of strong buy. And we've seen multiple, quite aggressive upward revisions to earnings forecasts just in the 3 months leading up to October 2025. The confidence isn't just that the cycle's back, it's that Micron seems to be executing perfectly within it.
Okay, that profit surge is fantastic, but, historically, whenever memory company profits spike this hard, it feels like the cycle crashes pretty soon after, right? Competitors rush in, add capacity. What makes you think this time might be maybe fundamentally different, or at least that Micron's prepared for that inevitable volatility?
That is absolutely the most important skeptical question you can ask in this sector, always. And the answer, I think, lies in two places, the balance sheet and their competitive moat. What's really fascinating here is the financial stability Micron has managed to build up. In a sector famous for these huge booms and just brutal busts, having a fortress balance sheet is absolutely critical. They've historically kept really strong total cash and short-term investments on hand. That gives them substantial dry powder. And this isn't just pocket change. It's capital they can actually deploy for R&D, maybe even acquisitions during downturns when their weaker competitors are just struggling to survive.
And crucially, the debt situation must play into that. Because high debt during a downturn, well, that's what forces companies into painful choices like emergency financing or diluting shareholders.
Exactly right. They keep a very low net debt load. This gives them enormous flexibility to invest countercyclically. So when the market is down, they can keep pouring money into the next generation of tech without that constant fear of defaulting. It's a luxury, frankly, that more heavily indebted peers might not have. This financial discipline, it really acts as a crucial safety net against the inherent ups and downs of the semiconductor cycle.
And when we look at the lifeblood of this kind of capital-intensive business cash flow, how does that look right now? Is it robust?
Yeah, free cash flow has historically been extremely robust, and that's what funds their ongoing innovation. It also allows for that modest annualized dividend, about $1.46 per share. Cash generation is really the engine that drives the competitive moat we should probably talk about next.
Okay, the competitive advantage. We know they're a market leader in memory. They command, what, one of the top 3 global spots in both DRAM and NAND chips. But how do they keep that lead when the tech moves so incredibly fast?
Well, their moat really comes down to two things. First, sheer capital intensity. You need billions just to play in this game. And second, specialized know-how. But the critical differentiator right now is the really strategic shift into high bandwidth memory. HBM. HBM is so crucial because it's this specialized, super advanced memory that sits right next to the AI accelerator chips the kind NVIDIA and others absolutely rely on. It's expensive, it's incredibly difficult to make with the necessary precision, and importantly, it commands the highest margins in the entire memory market. So Micron's aggressive investment in HBM positions them directly to capture these massive tailwinds from, well, AI server build-outs everywhere.
Okay, so the company isn't just riding the standard cyclical wave for, like, commodity memory. They're specifically grabbing premium dollars from probably the single hottest technology trend on the planet. But when we talk AI build-outs, we also hear about DDR5. Are those two related, HBM and DDR5?
Yeah, they are related. They both fuel data center expansion, fundamentally. DDR5 is the latest generation of standard DRAM, the stuff used everywhere, PCs, standard servers, and Micron's a leader there too, which is important for volume. But HBM, that's like the high-octane fuel specifically for the AI training clusters. So by leading in both HBM and the DDR5 transition, Micron is sort of capturing both the highest margin segment and the largest volume segment of the market at the same time. It's a powerful combo.
That really does paint a powerful fundamental picture. Okay, let's pivot now to the technicals, the charts. For those listeners maybe more focused on price movement and timing and entry. As of October 9th, 2025, the price is hovering around $196.54. It's had an incredible run this year, hasn't it?
It really has. We've seen this massive surge, moving all the way from a 52-week low, around $61.54, up to nearly $200. So yes, that places it very near its all-time high of $201. However, looking at the charts, the trend remains really firmly within a very clean, bullish channel. It's consistently setting higher lows and higher highs over the last 6 months. That suggests the momentum is pretty structural, not just some momentary blip.
Okay. But given that huge run-up, is there a risk the stock's already technically exhausted? You know, traders often wait for a dip, but if the fundamentals are this strong, maybe that dip just doesn't come.
That's the classic dilemma, isn't it? But if we look at the momentum indicators like the RSI, the stock's actually showing surprising restraint. The 14-day relative strength index, the RSI, is sitting right around the midpoint. I think it was 54.26 last I checked. So it's moderately bullish, yes, confirming the positive trend. But crucially, it is not flashing those overbought warnings yet. That technically leaves, substantial room for more upside without needing an immediate sharp correction.
That's actually a great data point, strong momentum, but not necessarily stretched thin yet. What about key support levels then, for investors maybe considering an entry point?
Well, looking at the technical setups, they seem to point towards a likely trading range, maybe between $180 and $220 over the next 3 months or so, assuming, of course, this positive momentum continues. The key support level to watch, I'd say, is near that $188 to $190 mark. That area acted as a pretty major consolidation zone recently, so it should theoretically provide a decent anchor if there's any short-term profit taking. Resistance is clearly that recent high around 201 ones. And importantly, the stock is trading significantly above both its 50-day and its 200-day moving averages. That just confirms the strength of the uptrend across really all-time horizons.
Okay, so we've got this picture. Exceptional operational leverage, a rock-solid balance sheet, really smart strategic positioning in HBM, and a technically supported upward trend. Which brings us to the critical question of catalysts, right? What's going to actually drive the price from this $196 level up towards those higher analyst targets?
Well, the sentiment is definitely highly bullish, and that provides a strong foundation. The average analyst target is already a bit above the current price, around $204.23. But look at the high-end target that sits way up at $250. And this confidence isn't just one or two analysts. It's backed by, I think, 28 out of 32 analysts covering the stock, giving it a strong buy rating. That's pretty much universal optimism about specifically that HBM ramp-up.
Okay, but what are the specific near-term things we should be watching for over the next, say, 3 months that could really move the needle decisively?
The next earnings report, definitely. It's expected in late September 2025, so quite soon. That is absolutely crucial. Historically, for Micron, major earnings beats have led to pretty significant price jumps after the report. The market's going to be looking for concrete data, confirming first the sustainability of that, near triple-digit profit growth, and critically, specifics on how that HPM ramp-up is actually progressing. Volumes, pricing, customer wins.
Yeah, and we should probably also anticipate some new product announcements, right? Particularly around expanding HBM capacity maybe, or getting more clarity on the timeline for DDR5 adoption across big enterprise clients. Every time Micron secures a major design win for its HBM chips and some new AI accelerator, that directly translates into higher margin future revenue.
Absolutely. And we can't forget about institutional flow either, the big money.
Mm.
Institutional buys are expected to be pretty significant, especially as large funds maybe reinforce their positions in strong semiconductor players like Micron, particularly as we head towards year-end, portfolio adjustments around the December timeframe. These large inflows can provide powerful support and validation for the stock's current valuation.
We definitely have to touch on the risks, though. No stock, especially one that's seen nearly 1,000% earnings growth, comes without significant risks. What should listeners keep an eye on, maybe, to temper some of that enthusiasm?
The biggest risk, bar none, is always cyclical volatility. The semiconductor market is just notorious for it. This current bull run could lead to industry overcapacity if competitors, seeing these profits, ramp up their manufacturing too quickly. That would inevitably crash pricing and margins. Pricing volatility is the single greatest threat to sustaining that incredible net income figure we saw.
Okay, so capacity and pricing are key. What about geopolitical factors? Are those relevant here?
Always. Global supply chain challenges are a constant background hum. And of course, the ongoing China-US trade tensions always loom large over this entire sector. Any sudden tightening of export controls or restrictions on either side could impact Micron's ability to access crucial markets or maybe even essential materials. While they have strong market leadership, they operate in a very globalized arena. That inherently makes them vulnerable to, sudden political shocks. So, putting it all together, what does this mean for you, the listener? When you pull together the, frankly, astounding operational leverage, the balance sheet strength, that strategic positioning in HBM, and the technical momentum, well, our analysis concludes with an overall bullish rating. We're calling it a 9 out of 10.
Okay, so a 9 out of 10. That sounds pretty appealing, probably for two distinct types of investors, maybe. You've got those perhaps looking for shorter-term gains tied to these imminent catalysts, like the earnings report or HBM news. And then you've got the longer-term investors, maybe seeking more foundational exposure to these huge megatrends like AI and data infrastructure through a market leader that also happens to possess, as you said, exceptional financial resilience.
I think that's right. The evidence really suggests Micron isn't just passively participating in the current memory cycle recovery. They seem to be actively leading the charge into the highest margin, most strategically vital segments of the whole AI hardware market. That ability to convert strong revenue growth into truly exponential profit growth, that's the key takeaway here, I believe.
Okay, so building on that momentum, especially in the data center segment and that really aggressive investment in HBM, here's a provocative thought for you to consider as we wrap up. Given that the company's success relies so heavily on sustained large-scale AI build-outs by the major tech giants, how much of that long-term potential growth is already priced in at nearly $200 per share? And, maybe more pointedly, what level of deceleration in global AI spending would it actually take to completely undo that nearly 1,000% earnings surge we just analyzed? Something to think about. Thank you for joining us for this analysis on Micron technology. We hope this exploration gave you the crucial knowledge you needed and quickly. We'll be back soon with more insights.